Hi, I'm Bob Bullshit, and you're watching CNBC's The Bullshit Room. Tonight is The Bullshit Room's Halloween special, where we'll be having some of the scariest characters around talking about the frightening state of the economy. Well, without further ado, let's welcome our spooky guests. Our first guest comes to us from a live feed in the river Styx. Death, aka the Grim Reaper, is a soul harvester for the underworld and a symbol of existential terror the world around. As tough times in the soul-reaping market hit with flatlining wages, Death began an acting career, making cameo appearances in several films, including the critically acclaimed classic, The Seventh Seal. Death has recently authored 2 self-help books entitled The Joys of Dying and What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Look Older. Welcome to the show, Death.
Great to be here, Bob. Thanks.
The Devil, aka Satan, Beelzebub, or Diablo, is the redistributor-in-chief of pain and suffering, hailing from the 7th Circle of Hell, and is currently serving as a senior advisor and strategist for the Republican Party. Good to have you back here on the Bullshit Room, Your Unholiness.
Good to see you, Bob.
And our third guest predicted the current financial crisis back in 2006, when he was then labeled Dr. Doom by the New York Times. Giving us his outlook on the economy is the chairman of Roubini Global Economics and professor of economics at New York University's Stern School of Business, Roubini. Welcome to the show, Nouriel.
Thank you, it's a pleasure being here.
Oh God, not him!
No!
So Nouriel, stocks saw a small rally this week, gaining 10% with a bump in the housing market in California. Do you think that we've reached the bottom, or do you think that there's still more horror ahead?
No, I believe that we may be relaxing now because we shot the $700 billion bazooka at the vampire who has fallen down for the moment but who is getting back up while we are celebrating because we did not do it right the first time with a stake through the heart. I believe the next few months will show significant negative surprise on the economy. GDP is in the negative for the third quarter, unemployment is up, the sharp fall in earnings we are seeing, and it is only going to get worse from here. I believe that this bailout rescue plan has done nothing to help, only to exacerbate the problem. I believe that the bailout is only going to help the CEO bonuses, to pay for trips to the spa, and to pay off the friends of Wall Street in the government. I believe that this bailout is not doing anything to help Main Street at all. There has been a massive failure by government to address the systemic problem in the financial system. The elephant in the room, which is that hundreds of banks, millions of mortgages, few corporations, and generally much of the American pie is a giant insolvent crab sandwich which must be shut down, default, and be cleared from the table before a true resolution can begin.
Alright, Death, what do you make of this?
Well, the front page of the Wall Street Journal today points out that California home sales are starting to revive, and some of these places are going for 30 cents on the dollar. So I think that we've seen the housing market bottom out. I think that we're going to see a real upswing soon, which is why I'm getting back into real estate personally.
I agree. I just bought another 7 homes myself.
Listen, half of those sales in California are essentially foreclosures or short sales. Prices are collapsing. That's not a sign of revival in the housing market. That's a sign of the pain to come. In the housing bubble, home prices inflated nearly double their actual worth, and I expect home prices will fall at least another 20 to 30% before we see any bottom, which will mean another $500 billion in losses to the financial system. And it wasn't just subprime was the problem, was subprime, was near prime, prime, jumbo loans, piggyback loans, auto loans, credit cards, stock bonds, money bonds. We didn't have a subprime mortgage crisis with a subprime financial system.
Okay, let's move on here. So presidential elections are coming up. Who do you think will be better equipped to handle this financial crisis? Satan?
I think it's pretty clear, with Barack Obama being the most liberal, socialistic, communistic, Arabic, terroristic congressman in the US, and with a clear record of tax and spend. He wants to spread your wealth around, take the wealth from the poor Americans take the wealth from the poor rich Americans and give it to the poor and anti-Americans living in those fake anti-American parts of America like slums and San Francisco. In contrast, John McCain is a tested war hero, a true American, and his goal as president will be to let the American people prosper without the weight of higher taxes.
Nouriel, what are your thoughts?
Well, whoever is elected, he's going to be inheriting a severe economic crisis, severe financial and banking crisis. I believe that, leaving aside any partisanship, Senator Obama has a clear idea of how we can try to address this economic and financial crisis. And his approach to fiscal policy, to reducing debt burden on household sector, of being in favor of more active and aggressive role of the government, because each financial crisis is resolved by appropriate government response. Until recently, Senator McCain had an approach which was more laissez-faire. The market was going to take care of these financial problems. The problem was that the market had become dysfunctional. Even the previous chairman of the Fed, Alan Greenspan, has said that these financial markets have had market failures. So markets don't work and market solutions are not working, and that's why government and central banks have to intervene aggressively in financial markets and the real economy.
You, sir, hate America.
Excuse me?
Death, what do you think will bring us out of this little slump?
In my book, The Joys of Dying, I'm trying to help people discover that death is not just this doomy, gloomy, party-poopy truncation point to life, but can really be a cool, hip, fun thing. I look at death-centric subcultures like goths and horror cults who have made death an enjoyable part of their lives.
Mr. Roubini, I understand you hail from Istanbul, Turkey. The New York Times received a video of you having lunch with your mother, who is an Iranian Muslim, and they are now refusing to release it. I think this raises important questions about your anti-American past. What is your relationship with this terrorist Muslim woman?
What is my relationship with my mother?
Why are you avoiding the question? Perhaps because it's true? You can't hide behind the mainstream media now, Darryl. We know you've had a long, close relationship with this Arabic Muslim terrorist woman.
First of all, my mother is not a terrorist. Second of all, she is not a Muslim. She is an Iranian Jew. And of course I have had a relationship with my mother. She is my mother.
So you admit it. I rest my case. You, sir, are an economical terrorist.
This month was the debut of the new Apple iDeath, a wrist-mounted device that uses biometrics to determine the exact date of your death. We've also got a new social networking site, mydeath.com, where people can hook up with fellow death lovers and even add them to their obituary list. You know, apart from Christmas, Halloween is one of the biggest spending seasons of the year, and I think that if Americans could just have a year-long holiday spending season, just have US consumers consuming at healthy rates all year, more elaborate funerals and such, I think that this is going to be what will get us out of the recession, which will last no more than 8 months at the most, I believe.
You know, funeral costs are one of the top 3 or 4 most expensive consumer purchases after things like homes, cars, and college tuition. There was massive inflation in funeral costs as well, so I think we're going to see a drop in funeral prices as well. I don't think we can consume our way out of this like in the last recession, which was a corporate-led recession. This is consumer-led recession, and right now you have a US consumer is shopped out, is saving less, has huge debt burden, home prices are falling, you cannot use your home as an ATM machine, equity prices are falling, there is a negative wealth effect, jobs are falling, consumer confidence is falling, there is a credit crunch. This is going to be a severe recession because consumption is about 72% of demand, and now for the first time since the 1991 crisis, there is a free fall in consumption, and that's why this is going to be a severe recession. There will be a significant risk, a downward risk, not just for the advanced economy, US, Europe, Japan, Australia, Canada, but also emerging markets like China, India. They are going into a crisis leading to a global recession. Right now there is also a risk of a blow-up in the CDS markets, having hundreds of hedge funds having to close down. Depending on whether systemic risk is addressed, we may end up in an L-shaped recession like in Japan. This is going to be the worst recession since the Great Depression, without a doubt.
Alright, well, it looks like we might have to be cutting the show a little short today, but don't forget to join us tomorrow at the same time on The Bullshit Room. I'm Bob Bullshit, and remember, sticks and stones may break your bones, but what you don't understand can't hurt you. Good night.